All right, and welcome to the third edition of Freedom Gulch podcast, hangout, whatever you want to call it. Today it's just three of us, myself, Will Hammer, Mark Anderson, and Andy Bacher, contributors for Freedom Gulch. We're going to be talking about different issues today, such as endorsements for Trump. He had some very interesting endorsements over this past week or so. Going to be talking about different Virginia legislative bills that are going through the session, January session, and some other issues. Maybe even get into some conspiracy people that are posting stuff about flat Earth and other ridiculous conspiracies. So, all right, guys, well, let's go ahead and let's talk about some Virginia session bills. Any bill in particular that y'all are tracking or following?
The ones that I was tracking are dead, unfortunately. That was 996 and 997, and it didn't even get out of subcommittee. It was the Criminal Justice Subcommittee. Bills put forward by Alexandria Delegate Mark Levine. First one was to allow for the expungement of first-time misdemeanor nonviolent drug offenses. That's, we can all get behind that. I might have had a first-time nonviolent misdemeanor drug offense expunged myself in South Carolina. This is something that states do, and it's not a crazy step to take. Dead in subcommittee. The second one, the decriminalization of marijuana. Dead in subcommittee. I got to thank my opponent from the last race, Charnel Herring, because she was a very good advocate for this bill. And Virginia's going to keep throwing people in jail. They put the newspaper articles about the racial imbalances in marijuana arrests are getting worse in Virginia. We're going backwards. That really made me mad. Well, I don't know what to do. We worked hard on this last year. All three of us did.
Yeah, well, you just got to keep plugging along, though. I mean, you think about how much progress we have made. Not that hemp is marijuana, but there are industrial hemps, going through very easily, which is, just a little bit ago, there's a mindset that people thought that was marijuana and that it was, bad, and so the more and more that people see success in the states like Colorado and Washington, the more and more they're going to see, essentially what's going to come down to is they're going to see that tax revenue. And personally, I'd love to see it legalized without taxation, but that's not going to happen. There's going to have to be taxation. They're not going to pass anything, a money crop like that, without taxation. So I think once they see that the numbers with Colorado and just see more and more states happen, then eventually we'll have our day, and just be something that we talk about that we had a fight for, and next thing you know, it'll be legal, hopefully. Virginia might be one of the last states, but hopefully with us continuing pushing forward and running libertarian candidates that talk about it, then hopefully we'll be able to see that.
Right. I think it's we have to strengthen our party, the Libertarian Party, because clearly we cannot count on the Democrats and Republicans in our state to do the right thing and make these right bills. I don't want to give away too much information, but let's just say a family member of mine is, he's going to court very soon for possession. The police officer found a bowl or whatever it is in his car. I'm not sure why he let him search the car. That's another story. But we're putting people away that aren't hurting society, making them pay these fines, putting them in jail, and it's got to stop. And we can't count on the Republicans and Democrats to do it.
Right, and I definitely marijuana legalization was definitely a cornerstone of my campaign, but I think we have to look at the messaging of it. What I did is I talked about all the consequences from the drug war, the negative consequences, people being locked up, the money spent on it, the militarization of the police, and then you look at the safety issues where it's actually you have better eye-hand coordination and other stuff when you're under the influence of marijuana compared to alcohol. And it's just about making, I think, a good argument, not going with a stereotype of stoners and on the principle of it, I think that anybody should be able to ingest or smoke or whatever, any substance in their body, but you have to think about the general public, the people who are voting. They've been raised with all this propaganda, with Ronald Reagan and Nixon and reefer madness and all this stuff. So we have to frame it a certain way to show that there's more to marijuana legalization than just allowing stoners to smoke freely. There's a lot of unintended consequences that happen that destroy our society. I think a lot of people talk about the family unit, especially with the black community, fatherless family units, and a lot of that has to do with the drug war that unequally affects them and Latinos. So we have to look at different ways to frame this argument and show that it's not just about stoner wanting to listen to Grateful Dead and smoke a joint,
Right. I mean, that's exactly it. You want to get people off food stamps. You want to get people off welfare. Quit throwing the patriarchs of the family in jail.
Right.
Let them work.
That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, look, like cannabis legalization was out front. That was my issue all year. I had to work a lot with Carla Howell, who's amazing, the LNC political director, about how to frame it. And she's all about benefits. You got to get your benefits in, your benefits in, your benefits in, your benefits in. And she comes from a marketing background, and that's what you really got to do, and talk to people about how it'll make their lives better, about how legalization or even decriminalization would bring incredible amounts of money to our economy, and it would save so much on enforcement. And the other part of my campaign always was to put right out front that I am a medical marijuana patient myself, and that there are people out there who are suffering from chronic diseases who are getting thrown in jail for taking their medicine. This is absurd. We can't do it. It's immoral. It's really frustrating. It's a frustrating week.
Definitely, I couldn't imagine, especially somebody who is a medical marijuana, that actually uses that for medicine. It has so many great benefits, medicinally, whether it's epilepsy. I think that's a really big something that they should definitely push, is to show these videos of these kids who have these seizures, 30 seizures a day or whatever. Then they start taking the CBD oil and other things, and they go down to like one a month. And so I think it's just a way that you frame it. You just have to market it, like you said with Carla, and hopefully eventually, just be another domino in the chain effect of legalization.
And to be fair to the General Assembly, last year they did pass the hemp oil bill.
Yeah, they did.
CBD. So that was good. We got to keep pushing. I think we'll get there. They just overrode the veto in Maryland. Actually, Mark, this was a bill decriminalizing possession of paraphernalia. Larry Hogan vetoed, and the Senate just voted to override. I think the House is next. So there's good stuff happening. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it'll be like same-sex marriage, where so many states, we'll get a few more this year and a few more that year, and eventually we'll get the majority, and it'll just fall everywhere else. Unfortunately, Virginia might be last. We'll see.
If not the last, definitely probably one of the last. I wouldn't doubt it. We have tobacco industry, we have conservatives, we have a lot of factors that I think will hamper our ability, but you just got to keep fighting and keep trying to frame it a certain way, and eventually it will happen. I think it's just a matter of time, and once the dominoes start falling, I think it'll go pretty fast, and then there might be a few holdouts, and we might be one of those half dozen or so, but time will tell.
Yeah, man.
Is there any other bills dealing with marijuana other than the 996 and 997?
Well, you made a quick reference to the hemp bill. That was a positive.
Yeah, that's definitely a positive. That passed 98 to 0. So I'm so glad that they've been able to show these legislators that hemp is a great product. There's thousands of uses. I mean, it's green. It's cost efficient. It's a great money crop. There's so many things. It's a superfood. You know, it's healthy for you. The hemp seeds, and there's so many things that we can benefit from that plant. And I'm so glad that they've been the Virginia Industrial Hemp Coalition has been able to actually frame it in a great way and actually get the whole House on their side to pass that unanimously. So definitely a great victory there. We just need to get to the complete medical and then recreational as well. That'd be really nice.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, there's also a bill. Let's see. What is it? It is SB 208. We're talking about marijuana and whatnot, and that's a lot of a lot of consequences that go along with the drug war. But in Virginia, we are not allowed to have fireworks or airbound fireworks, and so this is a bill that legalize that, and so hopefully, that will make it through. It's a little thing sometimes, you gotta fight for every little freedom. And you should be able to do fireworks on 4th of July, Independence Day. It's kind of hypocritical that you can't do that.
Yeah, the speaking of the little things. On the other hand, Delegate Chris Collins, who represents the 29th district, he ran unopposed in the general election, but he defeated Mark Berg, a very small government delegate, Republican delegate, in the primary. Delegate Collins just proposed the bill, the Stolen Valor Bill, where anybody trying to, I guess you could say, get money or favors by claiming they were military or had, you see the videos of the people walking around Walmart with the medals and stuff on their uniforms and people approaching them. This would pretty much make that illegal if they tried to get any favors or anything by wearing that uniform. So he just proposed that to make that illegal. And it may sound great to military personnel that they don't want some civilian out there wearing a Medal of Honor or what have you, Purple Hearts, but those are the little things that add up. Because what is the next step from that? That somebody's wearing a surplus, fatigue, going in to getting a discount on a meal at Denny's or something? Is that person going to get arrested and fined for that now?
Yeah. That's are they gonna do background checks for if you say you're military to get a discount?
I don't know, but the law is the one that Collins is trying that he has proposed. It's like a year in jail and $2,500 fine maximum.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's I don't know how you can enforce that, number one, but then number two, it's just that's a little.
That's the small steps to increasing the government. Why do we need more laws? There's already laws that's about obtaining money through false pretenses. So why is there a special need for another law in that regard?
Well, that's government. They like to legislate and make more laws, and a lot of times when they make new laws, that's not a good thing. People talk about Congress not doing anything, but I actually prefer them not to do anything. To be honest.
Right. Well, one of the things I like to tell people in day-to-day life, you hear people say there ought to be a law against that, or I said, think about what you're saying is that we can't solve that amongst ourselves, that we need the government to come in and say, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, when people say that, what they're saying is the police ought to be able to kill you for that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, whenever you make a law, make something illegal or punishable, then you always bring in the violence. Always bring in a police officer with a gun. And then you can get thrown into a cage. Whenever you introduce laws and prohibitions and whatnot, you always introduce violence into the situation. Let's see. Well, there's also a HB 82, which is actually of great interest to us libertarians. That's submitted by Delegate
Damn
Rasul, and it's actually lowers the threshold for a third party, such as the Libertarian Party or Green Party, to be an official party of Virginia. Because right now, of course, a lot of our effort and money, man hours go into just getting on the ballot because we have to do petitioning. But this lowers it down from 10% to 5%. I don't really think that it should be even that high, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is key and it's huge. We were, very happy to get the petitioning requirements themselves down. But Virginia is one of the most restrictive states in the country for ballot access. I know Oklahoma's worse. I think there are a couple others, but Virginia's right up there. Makes life very hard.
It definitely does. It limits the choices of people. You don't. I mean, I think everybody should be a libertarian, but you don't have to agree with us on everything. But you should be able to at least agree with us on allowing choice, giving people opportunity to voice their differences and not have to just drink Coke or Pepsi. There's not too much difference between them. Pepsi's a little bit sweeter, and so you can say that one of the others a little bit sweeter or whatever the case may be. But we need some variety. We need to open up the political process to the populace and allow people to actually have some choice in on the ballot.
You would think most people would agree with that, but how many people? I'm sure both of you had to go get petition signatures. How many
Yeah.
people did you run in that would not sign it because you weren't a Republican?
There were some people like that.
Right.
There were people that they find out, they start signing it, and they ask whether you're a Democrat or Republican, and this one lady I remember, we were having a discussion. It was at the farmers market, and so you get usually a little bit more liberal, people there, and so we're discussing different stuff. I was talking about corporations, and so we agreed on a lot of stuff because I don't believe that corporations should have all the cronyism and be able to write the laws, the regulations. But then she found out that I was a libertarian midway of her signing it, and she went off. She just, oh, I hate libertarians, just went off on me, and wouldn't sign it. She grabbed it back out of my hand and started scribbling on it, like all over it, and then she just came to the farmers market. She was so upset that I was a libertarian and that I had differing views on her in regards to regulations, because I believe in deregulation, and that she stormed. She was like talking underneath her breath, stormed off out of the farmers market. She just got there. It upset her so badly. And some people are just so entrenched in the left and right paradigm, the red versus blue, the tribalism of Democrats and Republicans, that some people really, they ask who you're running against. If you're running against their man, then they won't sign it. If you're Democrat or not Democrat or Republican, then they won't sign it. But I found a lot of people believed that we need choice. Most people are independents. They believe that we need choice, that the Democrats and Republicans do not give us choice. A lot of people that didn't necessarily agree with me on a lot of stuff or most stuff signed it because they believe in choice. And the people that want to keep that choice away are the two parties because they hold up each other. They want to beat each other, but at the same time, Democrats rather have Republicans in power, and Republicans rather have Democrats in power than having a libertarian in power, because then that just throws it all off.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, luckily, most people up here were like, we're pretty supportive about getting us on. It's lucky that the Republicans are very nice. They always, it's like older ladies, and they have water bottles for me at the farmers market. Very thankful. So, like, related issue that I wanted to bring up, though, that you guys, I'm not sure, may or may not have been following. I get it because my LP Nova connection. We can't petition right now because of the issue with the 3rd and 4th congressional district. Because the courts are redrawing the lines, we can't start. Because if we were to put up a presidential elector, and the elector is a stand-in in each congressional district, while we don't have a presidential candidate, because we're not going to nominate one until the convention. If we had one of those people who got redistricted, they could throw out the petition for the entire state. So Bill Redpath, I know, is working with the folks down in Richmond to try and get us some legislative relief or some court relief, because we can't start petitioning, and we've got these awful requirements that we got to be.
Is that just up in the 3rd and 4th district, or is that whole state, statewide?
The redistricting is just happening in the 3rd and 4th, but the way that the ballot access laws work, if something were to happen down there, it could throw out everything.
And where's the 3rd and 4th? Is that Tidewater, or is that Northern Virginia?
That is, so I think it was the 3rd that it had like a bunch of neighborhoods in Richmond, and then it followed 64 down to the Tidewater and like took a bunch of neighborhoods down there. It was ridiculous. That's why the courts threw it out.
Right.
But it's down there in that part of the state.
Okay, so more the Tidewater area. Okay.
Yeah, that big.
I had not heard that yet about that issue.
We can't petition. Apparently, the Greens already got one of theirs thrown out. Because
Really?
they had something similar happen to them. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just that just kind of shows, though, that with us having to petition just to get on the ballot, we're at a disadvantage, especially when something like this happens. We can't petition, so we're waiting, and having less time to do it. It's already hard enough. I did it 2 years in a row. I have to get the petitions. You put a lot of man hours into it, and before you even start campaigning.
Yeah, it's a lot. Redpath's working real hard on this one.
Redpath is always about ballot access. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's segue. We want to talk about Donald Trump. Anybody?
As Mark's guy. It was a great Halloween costume.
Oh yeah, you did dress up as Donald Trump, didn't you, Mark?
I did. Went over real well. Scared the kids to crap.
Can you give us an impression?
It's gonna be huge.
So Donald Trump this past week, he got 2 key endorsements. You had Sarah Palin, which, oh my God, whenever she starts talking, I just gotta mute it, And then of course recently Jerry Falwell Jr. I think a lot of Liberty students are not very happy with him because Donald Trump really isn't a social conservative, and that's what Liberty University is all about, and Falwell. So that's why I was hoping that we had Remzo on tonight.
Yeah, really.
He's a Liberty University student. I really wanted to hear what he had to say about this. What's y'all's thoughts on the 2 endorsements?
I don't get it. I just don't understand how this guy's running as a Republican. There's nothing he said that I can think of other than building a wall that is even remotely.
It's going to be a beautiful wall with a beautiful big.
But really, it's eminent domain. The wall is going to cost something, so that raising taxes.
And Donald Trump knows a lot about eminent domain, so.
Yeah. I just don't get it. I don't get the attraction for Republicans. Outside of building the wall, where is he Republican or conservative?
Well, he's a successful businessman. I got my grandfather who's a Republican. He loves Donald Trump. But then I also have a friend who's like a union factory worker who usually votes Democrat. He loves Donald Trump. It's some weird mash of people that he's drawing from, people that are angry, that are I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and I couldn't imagine a Donald Trump presidency.
Did you see the article I posted on Facebook a while back? The one trait that all Trump supporters share, or that most Trump supporters share, is that they're authoritarian in nature.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because he is authoritarian. I mean, all the
Yep.
stuff that you hear him talk about, he's going to get it done. He's not going to go. He doesn't talk about working with Congress or whatever. He's going to get it done, and he probably talks bad about Obama's executive orders, but then he's going to be doing the exact same thing, just his own agenda.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing right now is that it seems like a lot of the recent endorsements are specifically because of how much people hate Ted Cruz. Like, they really hate Ted Cruz so much that they're willing to endorse Trump, and that's pretty, like, Bob Dole, the Iowa governor. Ted Cruz is just the worst human being that there ever was. And I think part of the idea is that even if Trump gets the nomination, and this is like we're way down the rabbit hole at this point. Even if Trump gets the nomination, he's probably going to lose. And it will be easier for the people in charge of the Republican Party right now to kind of reassert control. But Ted Cruz might win. And if Ted Cruz was to be the president, he's in charge of the party, and they've lost it at that point. So I don't know if that's part of the appeal of, like, Trump getting endorsements now. I don't think that was a part of Sarah Palin's calculus. If she, knows what calculus is, but
I think she was offered probably a position, a chair, what's the term, a cabinet position. I guess maybe, czar of Russia or something like that. Overlooking Russia from her balcony or something like that. I don't know what she'd be.
Well, that's scary, thinking that woman's going to represent America in some capacity on the
I know.
stage.
She just and her and Trump both talking just about annoy me. I just can't. I can't take it. I couldn't imagine him being the president. I just hope that he just goes away. And not that I agree with any of the Republicans. Rand Paul the most, which I don't agree with him on everything, obviously, but. I just could not imagine Donald Trump. I mean, there's a National Review. There's a big piece that just came out this past week where like 20-some libertarian and conservative figures came out, like even David Bose of Cato Institute, out against Donald Trump. I think Glenn Beck, which is going to, another person we're going to talk about later, this all coming out against Donald Trump. Which is just weird. I guess people just maybe they see through him, or maybe they think that he would be the ruination of the Republican Party. I don't know.
It's weird. It's really weird.
Y'all ever see the movie Democracy?
Yeah.
It feels like I'm in that movie right now. If Donald Trump wins, that's it right there. We're gonna be putting electrolyte water or Gatorade or whatever on crops, and drinking. This is gonna be horrible. I can't imagine. Just.
Like, I had one of my friends is from England, and she's asking me, she's like, is Sarah Palin's endorsement just going to sink Donald Trump? No, it's helping. People love her. And it's just like, we don't get any of that in Northern Virginia, but
yeah.
Well, every time he says something crazy.
Go ahead.
No.
Well, Donald Trump, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it. He's cornered the market on the ignorant voter. There's a lot of ignorant voters, but he's really cornered the market. And Sarah Palin just like the icing on the top. There's so many people when she became the vice president of McCain. There's so many people. I'm going to vote for him just because she's hot. Just whatever horrible thing that they said. Like, really, that's how you vote. But it sort of goes like to Hillary Clinton. I hear so many people say that they're going to vote because we need a woman president. It doesn't matter if they're a woman, a man, transsexual, whatever, asexual, Muslim, Jew, Christian, atheist, black, Asian, white. I don't care what it is. It's all about principles. But so many people get caught up on these other superficial things that really don't matter. But it sort of goes in with a lot of women supporters of Hillary, that they're only voting for her because of she's a woman. I mean, you see so many videos of people, how ignorant they are of her actual policies. People get caught up on the person.
Yeah, man.
Donald Trump
At least
versus
I
Hillary
was.
Clinton. That'll be a race, huh?
Well, the
Thank
thing
God.
I always think is funny about Donald Trump is how he has completely upset the apple cart in the Republican Party. I mean, you think about guys like Rand Paul, who entered this race thinking he had a shot, Jeb Bush, who probably entered this race thinking he was a shoe-in. He was entitled to it. And even some outliers like Kasich or somebody that thought they could maneuver their way into the nomination, and they are all just frustrated to hell with Trump that this billionaire reality star has entered this race and taken over, at least as far as the polls show. Now I think when the Iowa caucus comes in, and especially New Hampshire, we're going to see the Bushes and those guys coming up winning those areas. But it's just comical to see what he's done to that party.
They're in trouble for sure.
It's definitely he's kind of made a mockery of him, and if he wins, he really make a mockery of him. But yeah, you think about it, like Jeb Bush was like, it's gonna be Jeb Bush versus Hillary, another Hillary, Clinton, or I'm sorry, another Bush Clinton presidency, and he's come in and upset everything, he's thrown everything upside down, and I don't know, I just couldn't imagine. But I think Kasich he knows he's not going to win. I think he's staying in it because he wants to get the VP, because he's from Ohio. You got to win Ohio, so he's just hanging in there, just waiting for somebody to pick him up as a VP. That's why I'm calling that right now.
You think they'll give it to Nikki Haley though? She did well in the State of the Union response, and she's a woman.
Yeah, well they're trying to put her up. Yeah, she is a woman. So if it's Hillary Clinton, maybe. If it's Hillary Clinton, then maybe Nikki Haley, or what's her name?
Yeah, and then so Nikki Haley, and then Governor Martinez in New Mexico. But there was a whole scandal with her. I don't even know the whole story. I guess she was really drunk coming from a party, and there's stuff with staffers, and I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I try not to keep up with political gossip too much, but of course you can't ignore Trump. He's everywhere. So, anything else on Trump?
No, please no.
Don't want to beat that dead horse anymore. All right, so let's Glenn Beck was part of an article in National Review against Donald Trump, and he actually. He's a libertarian now, and he's denounced the Republican Party, at least once or twice now. But he just came out that he supports Ted Cruz. He's sees Ted Cruz as George Washington, the next George Washington, and whatever else he said. He's yeah. So Glenn Beck, he's a piece of work, and he's a libertarian, but and he's done with the Republican Party, but he keeps in it, with the Republicans. So, what do y'all think about that endorsement? Think that put him over the top?
No, it's not going to put him over the top. I mean, everybody's a libertarian now. I mean, he's certainly not a Libertarian Party member. I don't think you need to go any further than the fact that he says he's going to leave the Republican Party and then endorses a Republican.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
That's the thing right there. I'm not too much on like, oh, you gotta be part of the Libertarian Party to be a libertarian. You can be outside of politics. You can even endorse some of the liberty-leaning Republicans, but he's already left the Republican Party, and now he's endorsing them. And Glenn Beck is not a libertarian by not much of a measure. I mean, he has some good points, I guess, but most of his points, no, he's not a libertarian. He's a conservative, and that's what he is.
Yeah, and I think there is an active movement to try to absorb libertarians into the Republican Party. And there certainly are some congressmen and senators and presidential candidates that do fit most of the criteria as a libertarian. But I think there is, they keep trying to get our votes as Libertarian Party members and people that vote for Libertarian Party candidates. I think they're trying to absorb us into the party again, and that's why you have like Glenn Beck is a libertarian, and a couple other pundits that are now libertarians, but all
Austin
they talk about are
Peterson,
Republicans. Well, Austin, I like Austin. I really, if he's the nominee, I can find a lot to support about him. There's a lot not to support. I really don't like, not that he has to live up to the NAP or he has his own opinions about the NAP, but to go out and aggressively go out against it in every way that he can, looks like he's just trying to rub people the wrong way right off the bat.
Yeah.
I like Austin. I've watched his live streams and stuff like that, and there's a lot to like there with him as a candidate, but there's some to question as well.
No, he definitely has the marketing and social media savvy. The live streams or the Facebook Live events are really awesome. But yeah, I don't like, you don't have to, he has his issues with the NAP, and I understand, some of his things, even though I don't agree with them. But the way that he aggressively campaigned against it and was so aggressive against people that identify with the NAP,
right,
is I don't like it, and it just seems like any press was good press to him. He wanted to create controversy. He wanted to rub people wrong because he got people talking about him, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't really like that, because I want to have somebody that's going to try to bring the party together. I mean, I would probably identify as a radical libertarian, identify as an anarcho-capitalist, a voluntarist, but at the same time, I see joining the Libertarian Party as being in politics, period, is already half a compromise. So, I'm looking at being a big tent party, and as long as you agree with the general premise of what being a libertarian is, then, I want to unite all of us. That's what Freedom Gulch is about. We have people ranging from ANCAPs up to, minarchists and constitutional conservatives and the like. And it's just try to, sing around the campfire, kumbaya and whatnot, and advance freedom for whatever aspect of that we want.
Well, we got to be careful because every time and Austin's watching right now, by the way. But anytime anybody talks bad about Austin Peterson, it has to be orchestrated by the Kerbel campaign.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's right.
Wave to Steve right now. Hey, Steve, thanks for.
Yeah, let me open up my Kerbel campaign check for putting down Austin Peterson. Let me also throw it out to Will Smith out there, the guy that always posting on some Facebook groups and whatnot. Because we talk about Republicans, we're not. Since we talk about Republicans, we're not libertarians. And just because one of our contributors, Remzo, is for Austin Peterson or endorse a Republican, therefore everybody or Freedom Gulch in general is not libertarian. Of course, he'll probably comment on this when I post it, but he won't watch this, and I'll even mention him on here, and he won't listen to it. He'll say he'll have no time for this, but he'll post on everything that's posted in the libertarian groups on Facebook. He doesn't have any time to watch or listen to this, but he has time to post and comment and like or dislike everything that's posted on any libertarian group on Facebook.
That's nuts, man.
The other thing about Austin Peterson, now that you mentioned it with the Rand Paul connection, is he's been kind of saying, that somebody posted that shirt where he says, "I stand with Rand," And Austin is saying it's more or less after the filibuster that he supported Rand Paul. But, Austin has been in Rand's corner for a long time. So I think he's backtracking a little bit on the extent of his support. And there's nothing wrong with that, but, he was definitely a Rand Paul over everybody else guy. From what I could tell from the Libertarian Republic and from his Facebook page.
Right. I definitely agree. The thing is, I like Rand Paul, and I know a lot of Libertarian Party people will crucify me for that, but he's doing good. He's having the conversation go a certain way. He's not his dad. He's not Ron Paul. Maybe he's more politically savvy. He's not showing his whole libertarian card, or maybe he's just not as libertarian as his dad. I don't know. I can't. I can only speak from what I see and hear. So you don't really know what's really going on. But at the same time, he's brought the discussion on many issues that are not brought up by either Republicans or Democrats. And so I definitely appreciate him and support him in a lot of his endeavors. And do definitely like him in many regards, because he does get a lot of issues that aren't talked about, and he does a lot of good things. Him and Justin Amash and Thomas Massey and a couple of those liberty-minded Republicans in Congress. I definitely like them. I love if they're more libertarian, of course. They're not perfect, but they definitely get the conversation going in that direction.
Well, you remember one of my first articles on Freedom Gulch was Rand Paul's impact on the LP, the Libertarian Party, and I think that's something to still consider.
Mm-hmm.
Is the conversation headed that way? They're talking about how libertarian is he, and how often you hear libertarian dropped in casual conversation now from the pundits and on stage and everything else.
Right. Well, that's not. Most of us did not start off as we're not all Mark Montoni, where we all started out a pure libertarian.
He was a Democrat.
Well, yeah, he was. He was raised. He even told me that his parents were like Saul Alinsky, like leftists. and no, but when I first started, I was a Democrat. Then I became more of a classical liberal, constitutional conservative. But then eventually, you start reading more about libertarianism. You got to start somewhere. You can't be a pure libertarian. 99% of people are not going to be like, oh, that's pure libertarian. You got to have some transition to the full libertarian. I mean, whatever you want to call that. So I think he's a good thing for the libertarian movement, the Libertarian Party in general. And I definitely, like I said, appreciate him.
I think that's right. That's one of the things that Michael Pickens had mentioned. First of all, look at how many LP people around right now started in 2008 or 2012.
Yeah.
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul.
So there's going to be a lot of that too. The next cycle that there is not a credible libertarian Republican, a lot of those kids are going to come over. It's all good. It's all good for the party. It's good for the movement. Hopefully it's good for the country. I hope it gets there.
Hopefully. I think it's becoming more popular, with like our generation, college students and young adults. More people identifying as libertarian. But at the same time, a lot of my friends are identifying with Bernie Sanders. So we'll see which one wins out. But I think that we're definitely, our generation's moving away from at least the two parties. I really do. I think that once the baby boomers are gone, I think that we'll probably have more than two major parties eventually.
That's an interesting topic. I'm a little older than you guys. I'm 30. I'll be 38. Well, I'm 37.
Oh, really? I would not think that, man.
Yeah, I'll be 38 in September. But the Bernie Sanders on your all's generation, the impact he's having on our party, stealing, because the young people that are disenfranchised with, the crony capitalism and
Right.
the connection between government and corporations. Bernie is kind of taking some people that would naturally come to us a little bit.
Well, definitely, there's definitely some people that are, left libertarian, that may not agree with everything that a libertarian is, but definitely, like with the crony capitalism, the corporatism, and other issues like that, and the drug war, issues like that they agree with us. Bernie Sanders can be siphoned a good amount of them, but I guess we'll see. We'll see how Bernie does and how my generation, Andy's generation, and whatnot. Because, like I said, most of my friends, friends from high school, um, are pretty big Bernie people.
My brother is. I go to I go to George Mason. Like, it's a pretty conservative law school. So most of them are Republicans. So I've been accosted by Ted Cruz supporters who wanted to do the whole like, man, you should run as a Republican. You're never gonna win. Like, and you're supporting Ted Cruz, and you want to call yourself a libertarian? Give me a break.
Yeah, Ted Cruz is about as libertarian as, well, I don't know. He's not very libertarian. I mean, you listen to his foreign policy. I'm sorry, what?
I said we've got our fair share of Bernie bots, though. Too.
Yeah. Well, George Mason I know they have a great economics department. One of my favorite professors back at Hampton was Chris Coyne, who is teaching at George Mason. You have Chris Coyne, I always forget his name, Peter or something, but they're really big Austrian economic guys. A lot of, they textbooks and books, period, about that subject. And so George Mason has a great economics department.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go there maybe in 2017. I'm studying business administration at a community college locally, and hoping to study economics at George Mason next year. But I don't know how that's going to work out now, but that's the hope.
Well, I hope so, man.
Yeah,
like I said, George Mason, great economics department. If you meet Chris Coyne, let him know you know me. He was one of my favorite professors in college.
Will do, man. Yeah, it's a great place. Mercatus is right there. Tyler Cowan was doing a talk with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar today. A little too snowy, but yeah, it's fun. It's a great place.
That's good. All right, so let's see. What other topics do we need to cover?
Well, we might as well round out the LP presidential discussion in the last few minutes, I think. Because there was one thing that caught my eye by a guy with 3 names. Never trust someone with 3 names.
I know you're talking about.
Mark Allen Feldman sends out this like press release everywhere. They put it on IPR, which is a really big deal in like third-party politics circles. Put it on IPR. Hey, watch out! Like Mark Feldman's going to announce his vice presidential pick the next day. Mark Feldman announces campaign to persuade Kanye West to be his people.
Yeah.
About this.
Yeah, that just kind of makes your campaign not very legitimate if you're really, trying to do that.
He had some support early on, but I think it was just because he was the first one with like a real website, and it's just because he paid the money. Like, it was a nation builder site. Anybody can make a nation builder site. We have it to get a really good nation builder site. You need a good consultant, somebody like Connie Frank. I don't think his was up to Connie Frank's standards, but it was good enough, and that got him a lot of support. Yeah, it's gone now. Nobody takes him seriously.
He's probably the first, legitimate type of candidate, because you had like these really fringe people initially, like you have every election. And then he came out and he had, votes not for sale, a good slogan, he had professional headshots, a website that looked all right. I've never been a big nation builder fan myself. My websites the last 2 years, I've built myself. With different WordPress, but then customize myself. But I guess not everybody, knows how to do all that stuff. Y'all use Nation Builder or?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly technical savvy. I had Josh McCullough build my website last year and would use it a little bit in the Sarvers campaign, but I wasn't. I'm not really familiar with the Nation Builder.
I forgot that you weren't on there, Mark. I think it was pretty much everybody but the two of you guys who Connie got on Nation Builder. It was okay. It was fine. It worked. It looked nice. Apparently, they've gone through like all these big issues in their corporate structure, and they've had these huge layoffs, and you don't really want to be doing business with them anymore. But they were fine during the campaign season.
I don't know. Everybody has one. I don't know. I don't like the look of them, and it's just too cookie cutter for me. So,
yeah. Especially like that one theme with the flags. And, everybody has that one.
So patriotic, man. So patriotic.
So what's the appeal of Kanye for Mark?
Just name recognition, I guess.
Is that it? I mean, I didn't read his press release on why he picked him.
I didn't read it. As soon as I saw that, that's what the press release was about.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all that I gave to that.
I drove down last August. I think it was August 4th. I drove down to Richmond, a 3-hour trek to Richmond to talk to him. He spoke at the Libertarian meeting down there. He drove from Ohio, and Mark is exceptionally smart, and he has really great ideas if you listen to him and let him talk. But so I don't know why he kind of would sabotage his own campaign with this, cartoon of an idea to have Kanye West as his VP.
You know who he should really get for his VP? Andy and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. I don't know if it's Bob or B-O-B. I don't know how you say his name. But I don't know if y'all follow this, but I saw like on Facebook, you see the trending things and Twitter and whatnot. This rapper B-O-B.
I think it's B-O-B.
I'm sorry, what, Andy?
I said I think it's B-O-B.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So we'll just say B.O.B. Anyway, he went on this Twitter storm about flat Earth and some other conspiracy stuff. And I wanted to kind of segue that into, a lot of libertarians or the libertarian movement gets stuck with a lot of conspiracy people. Like you see like Alex Jones and some other people that are not really libertarian, but they kind of, I guess, lean that way or conservative. And so the libertarian movement kind of gets dirtied or whatever with these conspiracy, and I read these conspiracies and it's just so ridiculous. Like, you really think the Earth is flat? I mean, you're gonna go to Antarctica and you're gonna fall off? I mean, what? I don't understand how like somebody that's logical really thinks that just because you can't see the curvature when you're in a plane, like a full-on curvature, that the Earth is flat. It just have y'all ever? I only heard about that theory like a month or two ago, and now it's blown up, and it's like facepalm,
I haven't. Sorry, I haven't heard that theory since about 1491.
Yeah. It really was. I mean, that wasn't actually. I don't even know if that was like the. I mean, it was still a theory, I guess, but I don't think it really was the main theory. I mean, we're kind of taught that, but I don't know if it really was the main theory at that time. They're gonna fall off the edge of the Earth, but it's just ridiculous. I think he like talked about cloning centers, and like I said, it's just sort of what we kind of an image that us libertarians need to fight off, because a lot of us see us with tinfoil hats and any and every conspiracy, like reptilian politicians, and you ever seen the movie They Live? I mean, I like it, but I don't really believe that politicians and political class and elite class are actually aliens. It's just I don't
know. It's so So, like, first of all, they do a lot of drugs in Hollywood, and I would think B.O.B.'s rap circles. So I'm just gonna put that out there first. But like the whole conspiracy thing, have you seen Andy Craig's new project? He's calling it the Libertarian Skeptics Network, which sounds like it should be like the Atheist Caucus, but it's not. It's basically like the anti-conspiracy caucus, or that's kind of the way they want to frame that. So they are on Facebook. You can find them. They're trying to get things going, I guess, before the national convention in May.
So they're anti-conspiracy, they're not pro-conspiracy.
Yes, they
Okay.
are. They are. Get the crazy people.
Because I hear the word skeptic being used that way too. Like, you know what I mean? Like people use the word skeptic, and they really mean that they're crazy and believe all these. No, but B.O.B. he only said that he smokes marijuana, man. So that's not good for you. Because then that's like it's like reefer madness 2.0. You drink this devil's lettuce or whatever they want to call it, and you're going to be believing the Earth is flat.
I don't know. It hasn't gotten.
Have you seen the video of the woman, the young lady? She's with Christians Against Dinosaurs.
Oh my God! I actually ran into one of them at a county fair around where I live, the Rockingham County Fair. They had a booth set up.
I have a running gag joke where I kind of put on a pretty good denial of the existence of dinosaurs myself, just with my family and friends to kind of, just as to get the idea of questioning things, not just taking everything at face value. So we had a good laugh with me and my girlfriend when we saw that video, because she said, "Well, that's you." But no, the video was hilarious. She broke up like a piece of ceramic and said, "Put that together," and that was her proof against the existence of dinosaurs.
Well, they say that the devil went back and planted those bones. Like, is that what they say, right? The Christians Against Dinosaurs or whatever. It's the devil planting that, or for us to think that the Earth is more than 6,000 years. No, I think people should be skeptics. You should question, especially you should question your government. But when you get these crazy conspiracies like that, and then you get a lot of libertarian identifying people that will follow those, and they post that stuff on their Facebook, and I delete them on Facebook when I see all these conspiracy stuff, because it's nonsense. I mean, I don't believe everything that the government says, but I don't believe that there's reptilian people and gray aliens underneath Area 51 and all these weird stuff. It's just.
Do you guys have problems with 9/11 truthers at your libertarian meetings? Because we do in Northern Virginia.
No, I haven't really come across in person. I see them online. The 9/11 truth, whatever, Building 7, all this type of stuff. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. There's all these memes and everything like that online as well. But it's just people like that. The conspiracy theorists really kind of dampen or really kind of dirty our movement. Because then they think that people just associate people that they see, because they're the loudest voice. They're posting 50 things on Facebook a day about the same flat Earth or the 9/11 truth or whatever the case may be. So then people associate libertarians with that because they identify as libertarians. So it's definitely something we have to fight, and
that's it's really unfair too, because the Westboro Baptist Church does not ruin the whole apple cart for the Republicans or for conservatives or for Christians.
Yeah. It's sort of like with radical Muslims or ISIS, but it's just a part of the thing. People see extremism or crazy, and they associate that with the whole movement. Westboro's Baptists, not so much. People don't, I guess, because of our Western culture maybe, but it happens a lot with Muslims, with ISIS and other the terrorists, Al Qaeda and Taliban and whatnot, that they associate that, and they believe that. I've talked to people that believe that all Muslims are bad, and that they're just saying that they're moderate just so they can get in, and then it's just all sorts of stuff like that.
It's madness.
Yep. All right. Was there any other topics y'all want to talk about? Anything else? Well, what about the Kerbel, the press release about the business fraud and everything like that? Like that kind of threw me off because I never heard of anything like that. But it kind of brought it to the forefront where I mean I don't know how his business dealings were, but like nobody it came out of left field, that press release about accusations of him committing business fraud or whatever the case may be, that he released like a week and a half ago.
And that was really weird, and I still haven't gotten down to the full story with that. It seems like the Kerbel campaign has been less aggressive, or at least less visible, since all of that happened, which sucks. I mean, they were doing cool stuff, but it happens. I don't know. Like the guy's an insurance executive. Insurance companies get sued for theft and fraud sometimes. I don't know the story.
But I never heard of anything about it. It's just like left field. He puts this press release. I don't know if maybe Will Smith on some Facebook group is accusing him of. Is his name Will Smith, or am I just calling the wrong name? I forget his name.
Yeah. He's old anarchy ball. I think he's Jeff Smith.
Jeff Smith. I'm sorry. I was calling him Will Smith. Jeff Smith. Don't get caught up with the one or two people that are I guess throwing mud at you, because then it brings it all out to the public. Like I'm just kind of scratching my head, like what happened. I had no clue about any of this litigation or anything like that, and now everybody knows about it.
I guess that's proof that nothing's real until it hits IPR, right? Because none of the lead up got there, but that press release did.
Yeah, and then everybody hears about it and everybody talks about it, and now you're associated with that, even if you're not guilty or anything of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks.
Yep. All right. Well, any other topics or anything y'all want to add?
How about those Denver Broncos?
Yeah, how about them Denver Broncos?
We'll talk in a couple weeks, and we'll just see.
Yeah, Broncos are my AFC team. In the 90s, 97, 98, it's when they went, and I was, 10, 11, 12 or whatever. And so, at that age, starting to get into football. So I've always been a Redskins fan because of where we live and my family. But then I also became a Broncos fan because of their late 90s teams. And so I want to see Peyton Manning ride off into the sunset,
Yeah. I'm a Giants fan, so I want to see Eli's brother tie him for number of Super Bowl wins.
You're a Giants fan? Oof.
I am.
What, are you from New York or what?
Yeah.
How do you get that?
I'm from Louisiana.
Oh, you're from Louisiana?
Yeah. The first game I ever watched, because when we lived in Louisiana, we were really poor, and we had an antenna, literally had 2 stations. So the first NFL game I ever watched was the Giants Super Bowl against the Bills. I was 11, 12 years old, and so that was, I bet my dad a nickel the Giants would win, and that's how it stayed.
It's kind of interesting
Awesome.
how you get attached to a sports team. I'm a Redskins fan because of the area, but Broncos is because of those are the first Super Bowls I watched. That and the 49ers. I remember back in the late 90s. How did you become a Broncos fan, Andy?
I grew up in Denver.
Oh, you did?
Suburban Denver.
That's why
left to go when I was 18, but up until that point, that's where I was. And that's a football town, too. I I don't know. Like, I don't know if you've seen the South Park episodes where every one of their bedrooms is covered in Bronco stuff. Like, that's pretty much how my apartment is, as you can tell.
That's cool. When did you move to Northern Virginia?
So I left. I graduated in 2008. Went to South Carolina. Like a year and a half later, it's like December of '09, I guess, or early 2010. Yeah, it was like Christmas '09. My folks moved up here. My dad got a job, and so I followed them after I graduated.
Okay. Yeah, I've been out. I
No, I've
went
been
out
up
to
here.
Denver a couple years ago. Beautiful place.
Oh yeah,
Nice city.
I love it.
We know why you
I
love
love
it.
Nova. You know what? That was so lame because I left before '64 passed. I actually the last summer that I went back there when my family was still there, they had passed medical, but I was no longer a resident. I lived, I had switched everything over to South Carolina, so I couldn't take advantage of the program.
You have any plans moving back?
We'll see. I'm here at least another 2 years for school. Theoretically, this is the prime legal market too, so hopefully get a job here. But I'd love to make it back someday.
You gonna move back to Louisiana, Mark?
No, I doubt it. Maybe Florida or Texas.
Yeah. I could see Mark
Fair
in
enough.
a little dinghy in a swamp, right?
The town I lived in, there was a population of like 400 in 1989 when we left, and I looked it up on the internet, and it's still at about 400.
Probably the same people.
It is. It's the same families. I mean,
Yeah.
the roads are named after the families for real down there.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Our neighbors were the Temples, and they lived on Temple Road. It's a long road that leads up to the next road.
I'd like to have a street named after me, Hammer Street, you know?
You already have a time named
Oh,
after you.
man.
What more do you need?
Yeah, Hammer Time, man. That's what I always say. One thing my dad blessed me with was a good last name, because on
Yeah.
the campaign trail, people are like, "Your last name's really Hammer?" I'm like, yeah, that's my legal name. I was born with it.
I got pulled over by the cops. It's speeding. It's okay. I'm fine. On 495, lady gets my information. She's coming back. Give me the ticket. She says, "I just want to ask, is Carl Loser a real guy?" Yeah. He's like, "Okay, I got to tell my buddies at the station."
Oh, Carl.
That's an unfortunate last name.
Yeah, he gets so much about that. I mean, you read all the comments on the different articles, and everybody loves Hammer, but not many people like was it Loser? Is that how you pronounce it?
Loser, I think, yeah.
So, but
Loser.
it looks like Loser. So everybody is always hating on him about his last name. So it's unfortunate. I might have changed my last name if that was my last name. To be honest.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, unless you have something else, y'all ready to go? Yeah.
Good work. Always.
Andy, I want an exact count on the number of hats behind you next time.
I want you to
What's
wear
that?
a different one every 5 minutes. Every time you talk, you gotta wear a different hat next time.
Okay.
All right, guys. It was good. We'll be doing this in 2 weeks again. Hopefully, some interesting stuff will happen between now and then, so we have plenty to talk about. We'll have the Iowa caucuses. Not sure if we'll have the New Hampshire. I don't think. What's the New Hampshire primaries? I think it's in 2 or 3 weeks. So we'll definitely have the Iowa caucuses to talk about. Since we are not libertarians, that's all we talk about is the Republican Party, and according to Jeff Smith. So that's 3 times Jeff Smith. So, all right, guys, thanks for coming out, and hope to see you all again in 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Thanks, Will.